Right, now that we have the security group which allows traffic from the internet on port 5432, and again, this should be your IP address, but this would have given me a lot of headache to edit, so I just said 000, which means anywhere. And now that we have this rule, before, remember, in here, before, we actually, let me just go back to IntelliJ. So you saw that before we had an issue connecting to our database. And if I run this, this should fail. And I'm going to explain why. And everything should really make sense to you why it's failing. So we are just moving step by step so that you understand the reason why we have to do all of this. But basically, in here, so if I scroll up, let's see if we have a meaningful message in here. And there we go. Have a look. Fatal, and then database Amigos code does not exist. And this is very familiar, right? Remember before, at the beginning of this course, we tried to connect to the database instance running on Docker, and it failed because we didn't have the database created Amigos code right here. And it's the exact same thing. So now let's go back to the terminal. And in here before, we tried to connect to, so if I press the up arrow, so we try to connect. So basically, we don't need this network anymore, so I can get rid of it. There we go. And if I go to the end, so this is the host, and then -U, Amigos code for the user, and then -D for the database. And now I'm going to press enter. And check this out. We are actually prompted to enter the password. So again, my password was password. There we go. And we are connected. So this is really cool. So let me actually just put this full screen. So I want to go full screen so you see everything. Now I'm going to press Control and then L to clear the screen. And here I'm going to type \L to see the list of all databases and have a look. So here we have a couple of databases here. So we have template 1, template 0, and then we have RDS admin, Postgres, and check this out. We have EBDB. So this is the Elastic Beanstalk database. So obviously, so I can go back in here, and if you don't want to use your own name and maybe just want to use the default database, then you can say DB, or actually EB and then DB, and just like that. And if I run the application, ta-da, you can see that Tomcat started on port 8080. If I go back in here and if I type / and then C, EB, and then DB, and then enter, you can see that I'm connected. I can say / and then D, and you can see that we have the student table as well as the sequence. And this is really good, right? I thought that it would have been really interesting for you to understand exactly how security group rules work, allow or deny traffic, because now we have a full picture, right? So technically, I didn't have to teach you all of this. I could have just said, do you know what? The database that it's created for us is EB and then DB, right? But this means that now you can say, right, I want to create a new database. So here, let me just press Control and then L. I can say create, and then data, and then base, and then Amigos code, or whatever database name that you want. So here I'm going to press semicolon, enter. You can see that that worked. \L. We have Amigos code in here. And now I can change this to Amigos code. and then reload the application. And you can see that this is working, port 8080. And if I connect to Amigos code in here, so \C, and then Amigos, and then code, there we go, connected, \, and then D, we have the student. So I can say select star from, and then student. And let me actually just say enter here. You can see that we have 0 rows. I can also say count, for example, and we have 0. So the count is 0. So there you have it, right? So now you understand exactly what is going on with creating the database, security group, the instances, how we can connect locally to the database. And this is really, really important knowledge that you should know, because when deploying applications, you will be doing stuff like this. So as I said, so in here, I can actually go and say edit inbound rules, and I can delete in here. So I can delete this from the internet, and this means that I won't be able to connect anymore. So if I delete, and I could actually add my own IP, but it's fine. So I'm going to save. There we go. Now, if I reload the application, this should fail. And you can see that it's taking forever now, and it's going to fail in a second. There we go, failed. And it's trying again, and it's going to fail basically. And also in here, so if I press \Q, or let me just try and select count from student. So you can see that this now is actually hanging because the security group rule has denied inbound traffic from my machine. So there we go. So hopefully now you understand all of this. And actually this is some DevOps stuff, right? So this is some DevOps content that you are learning in here. So this eventually will fail, and also the database, you can see that it failed. So if I show you the error, unable to open JDBC connection, and this is what we expect because we removed the security group rule. So now that you understand all of this, let's basically take our application. So this application running on localhost 8080, and then push a new version to Docker Hub, and then deploy it to Elastic Beanstalk. But now this should work. We just have to push a new version to Docker Hub. So in here, so we need to push a new version to Docker Hub right here, push a new version, and then upload the file. And then this should work because remember, you saw that these instances here, they can connect to the database because the security group of the database allows inbound traffic. If you have any questions on what we've covered, please let me know. Otherwise, let's go ahead and deploy our application.